You know how it is. When a company hits it big, we slap the CEO's face on the cover of magazines. When a sports team starts losing, what's the first thing they do? They fire the coach. We have this built-in idea that the manager is this all-powerful figure, a master puppeteer who's responsible for every single win and every single loss.
But let's be real for a second. Think about your own job. How much control does your boss, or any manager really, actually have over every little thing that happens? It's a simple question, but the answer gets right to the heart of what management is all about.
And when you dig into it, it really boils down to two big competing ideas. On one side, you've got the omnipotent view, the manager as the all-powerful hero. And on the other side, you have the symbolic view, which says the manager is more of a figurehead, just trying to navigate forces they can't possibly control.
All right, first up, let's talk about that traditional, almost heroic idea of the manager, the leader who has complete and total control.
This is the omnipotent view in a nutshell. It's the story we hear in the news all the time, right? Profits are up? Great. Give the manager a huge bonus. The company's failing? Well, it's their fault. Show them the door. It's this very simple, direct line connecting the manager's actions to the company's results.
But is it ever really that simple? Of course not. The reality is usually way more complicated. So let's look at the other side of the coin, which suggests a manager's control is actually pretty limited. And that brings us to the symbolic view. This perspective says that a manager's success or failure has a lot more to do with things they have zero power over. You know, stuff like a sudden economic downturn, a disruptive new competitor popping up, or the government passing a new law. In this light, the manager isn't so much a creator of outcomes, but a reactor, just trying to respond to the world around them. So what's the real answer? Well, like with most things, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Managers aren't gods, but they're not helpless either. The key word here is constrained. Their decisions are always boxed in by two major forces: the world outside the organization and the culture inside it. So let's start with that first big constraint, the external environment. Every single manager, I don't care how brilliant they are, has to deal with the world outside their company's front door. And that world, as we all know, can be incredibly complex and unpredictable. The external environment is basically everything else. It's all the stuff that can mess with your business, but isn't actually part of your business. It's the economic weather, the political terrain, and the technological traffic that a manager has to navigate every single day. And look at all the things that fall under this umbrella. We're talking about the economy, politics, new laws, what's happening in society, huge demographic shifts, and of course technology that can change an entire industry overnight. A manager can't control any of this, but they absolutely have to deal with all of it. To really see what we mean, let's just zoom in on one of these, demographics. Seems simple, right? It's just who lives in a country, how old they are, things like that. But that alone can have a massive, and I mean massive, effect on a business. Just look at this slide. This shows you everything you need to know. On the left, you've got Egypt's population, with this huge base of people under 30. That means a giant young workforce and a market that wants certain things. Now look at Japan on the right. It's almost flipped, with a much older population. The challenges and opportunities for a business there, from healthcare to retail, are completely different. A manager in Tokyo is playing a totally different ballgame than a manager in Cairo, all because of demographics. Okay, so that's the world outside. But sometimes, the biggest constraints a manager faces are actually found inside the company walls. We're talking about the organization's personality, its culture. And get this, an overwhelming 84% of managers believe that a company's culture is absolutely critical for success. They get it. They know it matters. But here's the crazy part. Even though almost everyone agrees it's vital, nearly 2/3 of those same leaders say their own culture isn't being managed well at all. So there's this huge gap between knowing culture is important and actually doing something about it. So what even is culture? Well, it's the vibe. It's the personality of the company. It's all the unwritten rules and shared stories. It's the way we do things around here. It's what people do when the boss isn't looking. And a culture is made up of a bunch of different things. This diagram breaks it down nicely. You've got things like attention to detail. Are we super precise, or do we focus on the big picture? Innovation. Do we encourage wild new ideas, or do we play it safe? Or team orientation. Is it all about the group, or is it every person for themselves? Now to see this in action, just look at these two pictures. On the left, you have Organization A. It looks rigid, structured. You know exactly who reports to whom. On the right,
Organization B looks totally different. It's a network, it's fluid, all about collaboration. And this is what it actually feels like to work there. In Organization A, new ideas might get shot down, and managers are always looking over your shoulder. But in Organization B, creativity is rewarded, and there's a foundation of trust. Now, a new manager can't just walk into Organization A and say, "Okay, team, let's be creative now." They are fundamentally constrained by the culture that's already been built over years.
So a manager's power is boxed in by the outside world and the company's own personality. Okay, so what? Why does any of this matter to you, whether you're a manager or not?
This quote really hits the nail on the head. Understanding culture isn't just some boring business school exercise. It's about finding a place where you will actually thrive, where you fit in, and where you'll be happy. Your own success depends on finding the right cultural match.
So how do you actually do that? How do you become a culture detective? Well, here are 3 simple steps. First, do your homework. What does the company say about itself online? Second, when you go for an interview, just look around. What's the office like? Is it silent and formal or buzzing with energy? And third, pay attention to the people. How do they talk to each other? How do they dress? Those clues will tell you more than any mission statement ever could. So, at the end of the day, a manager isn't an all-powerful hero, and they're not a helpless victim either. They're more like a ship's captain, navigating the powerful currents of the external world and the strong winds of their own company's culture. The best ones aren't the ones who try to fight the tides, but the ones who understand them and know how to steer within them. And that leaves us with one final thought. Looking beyond just success or failure, what is it about your organization's culture that really gives it its purpose?